DJI drone in 2019. Who is it for? Ah! Let's do this. Ow. I literally sliced my finger open trying to do that intro. Yeah. Learn from me, don't fly a drone indoors. I was trying to do it for effect. Don't do it. What's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to talk about the DJI Spark. If it's worth your time in 2019 with all the drones that are out there. And so I'm going to talk about some pros and cons of why I think this may be good for certain individuals. It's not for everyone. So let's talk about some pros and cons, and I'll talk about who this little drone might be good for. So let's start by talking about some of the cons. So first things first, this is a 2-axis gimbal drone. As opposed to some of its bigger brothers, bigger sisters, it is not a 3-axis gimbal. I think it's the pan axis that it doesn't have. And so as you do some of those more pan shots, it may not be as smooth as if you were to have one of the bigger DJI drones that is a 3-axis gimbal. The other thing is just the video limitations. It is only in 1080. It only films in 30 frames per second, which is like a cardinal sin if you're trying to do something cinematic. And it does not have any picture profiles. So literally, it is kind of what you see is what you get with the DJI Spark. So it does have those video limitations with the lack of 4K, no picture profiles, and the fact that it does not do 24 frames per second, 60 frames per second, or even 120 frames per second. You know, it's very limiting in that way. And then you also have battery life. Now you're gonna start seeing this with some of the smaller drones to begin with, but you're not gonna be able to take this up for very long on each battery. So when you go to shoot with a DJI Spark, you want to make sure you have some backup batteries. You're gonna get about 10 to 11 minutes on the Spark's battery. And honestly, probably even less than that before it starts trying to fly home. Now you can disable that feature, but about 30% is gonna try to come back to its kind of landing point home location. You're not gonna get a ton of flight time per battery, so you'll want some backups on there. So those are some of the outright cons of the, I hate saying cons. I feel like when I say cons, I feel like I'm duping somebody. I don't know. Those are some of the negatives around the DJI Spark. It is the fact that it has only a 2-axis gimbal. It has limitations on picture profile, video resolution, as well as frame rate. And it also has not so great battery life. What are some pros? Why would I potentially recommend this to anyone? First and foremost, one of the pros is its size. I was able to fly that in my studio, and my studio is small. Now, was not the most sensible thing, as you may see that I cut myself. With the size that it is, I can throw it in a book bag, and that way if I need it, it's there. It doesn't take up a ton of space. Having that size drone may be kind of beneficial, especially if you travel. You know, when my family travels, everything is calculated as far as what bag is for kiddo, what bag is for Savannah, what bag is for me. And so me saying, hey Savannah, can I take a drone just to kind of do some aerial shots? It's a little less of a deal because it is so small, even when I throw in my Spark remote. So size is just one thing that's a good selling point for this drone. And with that size, you'll also notice that it's a little more discreet. You won't have neighbors calling the sheriff on you all the time because you're flying a Phantom or even a bigger Mavic. One thing that I love about this Spark is the fact of its size. The other selling point for this drone is it is easy to use. I mentioned some of the negatives being some of the limitations, but I found that those limitations for somebody like me that just wants to put a drone up into the air, get a couple shots, bring it back down, nothing crazy, it actually works out for me. I can get that drone up in a matter of, I mean, when I was put in the office, I think it was maybe like 30 seconds to a minute at max. With those limitations, they are there, but in some instances, it may benefit the users of the DJI Spark because it is just so simple. It is literally turn it on, make sure everything's updated, get it up and go. And on top of that, it does also have some additional features that will make it even easier. Things like obstacle avoidance, things like active track. There are some of the features like you can circle an object, you can do the I think it's the smart lift off or stuff like that, I think it's called rocket mode or something like that. And so it's really helpful for that ease of use. And again, you're getting all of that with this little drone at this reasonable price point. You have its size, you have the easeability, and then the other thing is just price. When I went to go look at this drone right before I started this video, it was around, I think the cheapest I saw was about $350, $345, $350. Now with the Fly More package, which comes with the remote and a couple, I think, and maybe an extra battery, I can't remember what all it comes with. With all of that, you may spend a little bit more, which I do recommend using the remote. Being able to feel what's going on is really helpful when you're flying and just kind of getting used to the drone. All that being said, it is a smaller price point than its larger counterparts in the Mavic Air, Mavic Pro, Mavic Pro 2, Phantom series, all of that. And so while it has those limitations, if you're just trying to get into the drone game without spending a ton of money, this is potentially the drone to consider. And so you have the size, the easeability, the price, and I think just with those three things, I do still recommend this drone for certain people in certain scenarios. So with that in mind, who do I recommend this drone for? A couple of type of creators come to mind. Travelers, vloggers, travel vloggers. What? Just because of the size, the easeability, if you're traveling, doesn't take up a ton of space, you can get some of those aerial shots you may want without having to pack a huge drone. That's why I would recommend it to travelers. I also recommend it to vloggers because when you're out vlogging, you don't really want to pack in another huge drone and potentially be carrying another bag just to do vlogging with. And so having this for vlogging, doing some establishing shots of where you are and things like that would just be super helpful for those individuals. So if you're a travel enthusiast or a vlogger or a hybrid of the both, another person I may recommend this for is hobbyists. They're not really concerned with good video footage, great photos. And don't get me wrong, you can get good video and good photos off of the Spark. I'm gonna actually do a follow-up video on how I get my video clips and how I get my photos with some of the best results I've found with the Spark. So that will be coming. So remember to subscribe to potentially, get a notification about that video. But if you're a hobbyist and you're not concerned with some of those pro features, you just want to get into a drone that's a good quality drone with some good features, this is also the drone I would recommend for you. Now, who is this not for? I don't think this is for professional filmmakers, professional, even videographers, simply from the fact of it is going to be missing some of those pro features. I do not use this drone on any paid gigs. One, I don't have the license for that, but also it's just not going to have those features that I would comfortably say, I'm gonna charge you something additional because I'm using drone shots. If you're a professional filmmaker, videographer, or photographer, I would definitely look into the Mavic Air, Mavic Pro, Mavic Pro 2. I probably recommend the Mavic Pro 2 before the Mavic Pro anyways. But if you're a professional, I would recommend any of the Pro series drones from DJI. I'll put a link to some of those drones, the Spark, and some of the more professional drones in the description below, so check those out. So with that being said, I hope this has been helpful. Hope this gives you some type of clarification on, is the Spark worth it in 2019? I genuinely think it is. I think it's great for certain scenarios and certain individuals. That being said, if you found this helpful, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you're digging the content coming from the channel, consider subscribing. And remember, leave a comment below. What are some drones that you're scoping out? Are you potentially even looking for like a Spark 2, or I think there's a rumor of like a Mavic Air Mini? Maybe it's not even from DJI, maybe it's some of the other companies. Leave a comment below and let me know. And as always, I'll see you here next time. Go and find your journey. Go embrace life. Peace. I don't need bloopers. I cut my hand on the drone. That's a blooper. Really hurts. Honestly, expected more. Expected more blood. Because I think all my fingers went. I went to go grab it and it just went sing. So I tried to be somewhat careful. I put wing guards on my drone because I was flying inside, but they broke off the bottom part of my propellers here. If anybody knows how to fix that, please let me know in the comments below. The DJI Spark in 2019. Who is it for? Let's do this.